Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Weekly Watches, where I go over every single movie and TV show that I watched in this past week. This past week, I watched 6 movies and 1 season of TV. The first movie I watched was Ocean's 8. Ocean's 8, I found to be, an okay movie with a very okay story. This is, of course, another heist film, just like the other Ocean films, but this is an all-female cast in here. In the beginning, I will say, felt really slow. Like, I wasn't really getting into the story, getting into the plot, getting into the characters. I wasn't really finding any favorite moments to really like, but once you actually get to the heist and you get to the last 30 minutes, I thought that's where it really shined. And it has a stacked cast. Like, my god, this cast is amazing. You have Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett, Sarah Paulson, Anne Hathaway, Awkwafina, and many more. Rihanna also in this. Like, what the heck, this cast is insane. I wish that this movie was a little bit better because you have such a great cast. But yeah, the last 30 minutes were pretty good because that's where you finally get into the meat of the movie, which is the heist. But the planning up to the heist, wasn't really my favorite. I think the other Ocean films did better at pacing their films compared to this one. So Ocean's 8 I found to be okay, so I'll give that one a 6 out of 10. I rewatched Dune 2 for the last time in IMAX, and I finally did it. I broke my record of the most times I've seen a single movie in theaters, and that's with Dune Part 2, 9 times. I saw Dune Part 2 9 times in theaters. I don't know the split. I think I saw it like 3 times in regular, six. I think it's no. I think it's 5 in IMAX and 1 in Dolby. Because I went to it to see it in Dolby last week for my first ever showing in Dolby, and I thought Dolby was a pretty cool way to see this. The picture is, oh my god, the picture is pristine. It's like the HDR was on another level there. The sound though, the sound wasn't that loud. I feel like I value sound more than the picture, so that's why I maybe prefer IMAX just a little bit more than Dolby. But my Dolby theater probably isn't as nice as some of the ones like in New York, LA, and all that. But I still prefer IMAX. That's why I've seen it like 6 times in IMAX. This film gets better and better in each watch. It's my new favorite film of all time. I cannot wait to own this on digital. Supposedly it's coming out on digital middle of April, so next month. I'll be watching it like every single week, every single day if it comes out in digital next month. It's gonna be a fun time, but I think this is the perfect movie to break my record with, because my previous record was Across the Spider-Verse. That was the perfect movie. This is the new perfect movie, so 9 times in cinemas I saw. It's now coming out of IMAX, which is kind of sad, but I'm happy I got to see it one more time. Next, I watched the new remake of Roadhouse starring Jake Gyllenhaal. I actually watched this twice this week, once by myself and then once with my parents, and I actually enjoy this a lot more than other people do. I will say it's really silly and really clunky around the edges. Like, the pacing isn't great, the script isn't great, but I will say on the second watch, I find it even more hilarious, especially when Conor McGregor shows up, because he's like the saving grace of the movie. His chemistry with Jake Gyllenhaal was just great. And yeah, the first 30 minutes, first 35 minutes are really sluggish to get through. I will say that. Like, nothing's really going on. But once you get to that first big bar fight with Conor McGregor and Jake Gyllenhaal, that's where it starts ramping up. That's where Jake Gyllenhaal's character starts getting really angry. That's when I start liking it a lot. And then you get then after that, it just goes to all out, hell breaks loose. Conor McGregor's character is just so funny. He's just saying the weirdest one-liners, and it's just him playing himself, which I found really cool. The fight choreography is pretty cool. Some camera work doesn't work for me. Some camera work is pretty cool. But overall, I enjoyed it. I think it's pretty good. I have a fun time with it. It's nothing I'm going to take too seriously, but I still value the original Roadhouse more. I went and saw the new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. The full review is on the channel, just like with all other these movies. And this one is okay. I was kind of disappointed because Ghostbusters Afterlife was so great coming back into the franchise after so many years. Frozen Empire, though, it just has way too many characters, way too many plot lines, and there's something called a Fire Master in here, which Kumail Nanjiani plays, and I didn't think that we needed him in here. I think it just ruined, the Ghostbusters kind of for me. I thought he was just going to show up for a little bit, but there's just so many characters going on, so many different things happening at once, and a lot of characters got sidelined, like Lucky and Finn Wolfhard's character. They were supposed to have a romantic plotline in this, but I guess it just didn't happen anymore. They took that out completely. And, this one I think suffers kind of the same pacing as Roadhouse, but this one suffers from it more because I didn't really feel interested in the movie until like over an hour in. And the last battle is when I felt emotionally connected with all the characters and all the old characters coming back. All the stuff in the beginning just felt like it just took forever to keep going. And then, Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace, makes friends with the ghost, which wasn't really my favorite decision. I don't know what they were going for that. It's just a lot happening in this film, and a lot of it doesn't work. Only some of it works. So I wish it was a little bit better, but I still love those mini Stay Puft Marshmallows. I watched Immaculate, which I thought was actually pretty decent. This is Sydney Sweeney's. I don't know if this is her first horror movie. I have to check, but she was pretty good in this. She's like gonna be a new Scream Queen now. I'd love to see her in more horror movies. This one is also about like nuns and all that. And I said in my review, I'm like, why do we have so many horror movies about nuns? I swear we get one a month. Absolutely insane. But yeah, I went to this one with my friend, and we keep talking about this. We're like, this is pretty similar to the first Omen, which comes out in like a week or two. And Immaculate, it suffers, a lot of movies this week suffer pacing issues. This one also suffers pretty big pacing issues because the first half is kind of sluggish, but once you get to those last 30-45 minutes, it starts getting really entertaining. Like the stuff at the end is like really gory. You got some pretty good kills in there. And then the last final moments shocked me because you just have some very shocking moments going on with Sydney Sweeney's character. And she has I don't know, I think it's like a 2-minute one take where she's just screaming into the camera. And I'm like, oh my God, this is getting a little insane for me. And the final shot, just thinking about it, just makes me a little bit nauseous over what she did. Like, God, it's an insane thing to do. But yeah, it felt like it lacked a little bit of style. I wish I had a little bit more style in there, because it felt like a little bit too dark of a movie. But I get that's what they're kind of going for. Sydney Sweeney's performance, I thought it was great in the second half. The first half was just good. I think that the script needed some more help in that first half to make it more suspenseful, because it was just filled with predictable jump scares, which I'm not a big fan of. But those last moments were shocking. Then I watched Late Night with the Devil, and we all know this is under controversy because the AI incident with this film. I did make a video talking about that, so I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm just going to talk about the film and my thoughts on it. And I think that this is the best horror film of the year, which isn't really hard to do, but I think this film is really good. David Dastmalchian is the lead of this movie. Finally got a leading role. I'm so happy for him. He's such a great actor in the supporting roles in movies like Blade Runner, Suicide Squad, The Dark Knight, Oppenheimer. So great in those supporting roles, but he was even better in a leading role. I hope he gets more leading roles after this. I hope this movie gains money. It's pretty low budget, I think. Hopefully it gets money because it's a really good horror film, and it basically takes place in one night as this late night talk show host trying to get his ratings back up. So he's doing some crazy things, bringing some crazy guests on, brings this like demonic girl on, and all hell breaks loose after that. And it's really cool because I really do love late night talk shows and all that. I think that they're very fun to watch. So having just one movie be about a late night talk show host trying to get his ratings back and doing insane things was really cool. This movie had some cool style. The aesthetic of the 70s was realized really well. I like the production design here, and I just love the whole cast, love the whole acting here. The ending might not work for a lot of people, but I really liked the ending. I love how it went, and some people might find it predictable, but I didn't, and I just loved it. I thought that the ending worked a lot for me, and overall it's paced really well too, so that's probably the best part of the movie. But David L. Smallchin, God, give him more leading roles. The last thing I watched this week, I watched the full season of Three Body Problem, the first season. I'm not sure if they're doing another season, but let me say this: I need it. I need it right now. Because let me tell you, I binged this show in I guess it was less than 2 days. I binged it in about a 24-hour span. And this show is fantastic. Wow. If you love science fiction, if you're a science fiction nerd like me, I think you'll love this show. This is like some high science fiction stuff right here. I've never read the books, but I'm thinking to myself, how is the writer of these books thinking of these ideas? Because like it is like so out there in some parts, and I'm like, how do you even think of all this? And yeah, I was just blown away by what I was looking at. I'm planning to do a full review, full commentary on this video, on this stuff, because this is just a lot to talk about in just a 1 minute, 2 minute process. But I love the cast here. You got people like Isa Gonzalez, John Bradley, Benedict Wong, Jess Hong, and there's some great cast members here. You got some really cool effects in the show at some parts, and I love the pacing. It's only 8 episodes. They're all an hour each, so I think it worked very well. There's some twists and turns going around. They're dealing with really interesting parts of technology. Like there's a VR headset that they put on which puts them like in a whole nother world. It's really interesting how it's going on. It's hard to talk about without spoiling, so I'm not going to get into too much, but if you haven't seen this, I really recommend checking it out. It does take a little bit to get going, but you have to get introduced to the world, get introduced to the characters, but it really starts going by the end of episode 2, and I need to know what happens next, because it does end on a cliffhanger. I'm going to have to pick up like the second book, the first book and all that to keep reading on to see this story go on, because that cliffhanger is so crazy. I need to know what happens next, because this show, it went all out, and I think it actually worked for me a lot. And also, Benedict Wong, as I said, is in this. Man, he did great. I really need to see him in more roles like this, and a more leading role, because he is such a great actor. Kind of gets sidelined in the MCU. Don't really see him a lot. I need to go look for him in other stuff because he's terrific in this. But this is easily, maybe top 2 shows of the year. I easily have Shogun over this, but this is just fantastic work right here. I loved it. So that's everything I watched this week. I hope you guys had a great Wednesday. Let me know, what did you guys watch this week? Give me your ratings, give me your thoughts down below. I'd love to read up on that. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Helps a lot. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.